Now, before I even start, look at that banner. Look at it. You look at that podcast banner, you tell me how damn good that is. Thank you, Nathan Young, for that. It's beautiful. I have not a single complaint. I love it. I literally just threw mine together in Picasso. I had no idea what I'm doing. This is beautiful. I love it. Make sure you thank him. He does scheme. He does a little bit of everything, man. He's a jack of all trades. If you need something done graphically, Nathan Young. Nathan Young Designs. He sponsors the Three Rod Racing B series. I mean, come on. You don't get to do that if you're not good at what you're doing. And he's doing great. He races with us. He's wonderful. Thank you so much for that. All right, here we are, week 2 of the podcast, still doing this thing. 2 weeks in, I think our first one got over 100 views, so I'm hoping you guys like it. I hope it's a success. I hope we get to continue doing them, and we are here this week. So, last week, 3 people to interview. Carlos, the winner of 3 Rock, Sam, the winner of the B Series, and Matt, the winner of the A Series. This week, we have one person interview. It is Sam Close once again, because he swept the weekend. He won the B car, and he won the A car. This weekend, well, Sam's, there's really, nothing catchy to say about that. I mean, he dominated. So, we were at Rockingham this past weekend, March 26th and March 28th. Both series, 100 laps at Rockingham in the B car, and then 150 in the A car. Sam took both. He'll sweep the weekend. We'll have a word with him later on. Let's start off with this weekend's penalties. That is correct. We have penalties to number 3, Tanner Sharp, number 7, Jess Story, number 8, Richard Lafferty. There's more. Number 9, Nick Miller, number 65, Austin Nielsen, number 94, Carson. I'm going to be straight with it. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. It's A-U-B-E. And, I'm sorry, Carson. And number 98, Justin Kolb. Tanner Sharp, I think, will be receiving a warning. Jess Story will serve probation until April 12th, 2016 after an on-track altercation during Rockingham. Richard Lafferty will also have a 1 week probation across all the 3 Wide Racing League series. Nick Miller receives a warning. Austin Nielsen receives, it doesn't say a warning, but it simply put, if he shows up again with a replica paint scheme, which he did at Rockingham, he'll be parked and removed from the session. The session that if he were to, show up in that scheme, with no points provisionals given. Carson, with the last name I don't know how to pronounce, Aube, A-U-B-E, Aube, Obi, I don't know, enters. That was also a replica paint scheme deal, same as Austin Nielsen and Justin Kolb. Went through too many pit stalls on lap 83 at Rockingham and will just receive a warning. It's a lot of penalties for one race, but it's good it's being enforced. I mean, you have to have rules and regulations to run a proper league as 3 Rod Racing is. So, really, I don't know anybody. Unfortunately, this week, last week I had connection problems, and this week I drove all day from Nashville back to here in Kent, Ohio, where I'm attending school, and I made it in time, but I had to return my rental and enter the race very, very late. And I salvaged like a 21st just out of attrition because there was like 31 or 32 entries. I mean, it was great that we had so many people. It sucks. I mean, Rockingham, like I said in the previous podcast, it was going to be no joke, and it definitely wasn't. But overall, it was a good race. Great win by Sam in both series. I mean, that's awesome. To sweep Rockingham, that really shows he knows what he's doing around that track. Next week, the 3 Rod Racing Chesapeake Diecast Cup Series and the 3 Rock Series are at Atlanta. That's going to be April 3rd and April 4th at Atlanta. 3 Rock will be doing 80 laps around Atlanta, and of course our Cup Series will be doing 130 laps around it. Atlanta is going to be another challenging track. I don't say it'll be the beast that Rockingham was, but it's definitely not going to be a Sunday drive, or in our case, a Monday drive. I'd see this being a very competitive race. A lot of good, I mean, especially in 3 and 4, a lot of room to pass. 1 and 2 there is as well. The exit's kind of sketchy, but I mean, if you can make it work, you make your lane work, and how the weather and setup work, it's going to be some great racing. I'm really looking forward to that, and hopefully I can finally go through this problem free. So now we're going to jump over and interview Sam. Rowdy will cover the first half, I'll cover the second, and then afterwards, of course, our little round table discussion. Not a lot to talk about this week, honestly. We have we have the lap at Atlanta, which will be at the end of the video. Sam did all the work for us. I'll make sure to have a more extensive interview with him and other drivers going forward after your guys' feedback. So, last weekend, March 26th and the 28th, the B car and the A car went to Rockingham, and we have one winner for both. That's Samuel Close, and we have him here today. Absolutely dominated the weekend on a very, very challenging track, and is now 2 for 2 in the B car series. So let's start with the B car series. Sam, I wasn't there. You need to tell me why you won at Rockingham in the B car series.
I got the win in the B car because I started on the inside for the last restart, and Dale, I was probably the third fastest car in the race, the whole race long. One of the guys in front of me, Paul, he started on the outside, and that line got checked up. And then Dale was on old tires. He decided to stay out, so I was able to overtake all those guys.
Did you do a lot of leading during the race? Was it just a fortunate place to be at the last second? I wasn't there, so I really don't get to. Who were you battling with our race? Did you do a lot of leading? What was the race like for you?
I felt like I had a pretty good car. I was running about third, just kind of trying to conserve on tires. There was only one caution all race, and it was Dale or Paul leading most of the time. And other than that, I was almost by myself in a little buffer between second and fourth.
So in the B car series, it'll be a top 12 chase. So of course it's not points based, so you're not running away with anything yet. But you do have a 16-point advantage on second place. You've shut out anybody else from winning. It's very early to talk about this, but how do you feel about your season, your chase hopes? How do you do you like the direction you're going in this series? You've won everything, so everything has to be going the way you wanted it, I assume.
Oh yeah, I had good expectations. Obviously, I didn't expect to win both, first two races of the season, but I think a little bit of luck kind of helped with that, and I feel really good if I can just stay consistent and not overdrive and get good top 5 finishes. I think that's the most important part of making sure you get into the chase.
So we're going to scrap the what would you do different question, because obviously I think if you're winning, I'm not really sure if there is much you do different. I'd say, whatever got you there. So is there anybody you would like to thank or shout out for your win? You won and earned the airtime, so is there any recognition you'd like to give to anybody?
Yeah, mostly I just want to thank the 3OG team because I don't think I would have won either one of those races without those guys, kind of working with them on pit strategy and on restarts. And so, I think I owe it more to my team than anything else.
Now, of course, the B car series is in an off week next week, so of course that's going to really help you out, because I know you're running for the championship in both, but of course, you're taking off in the B car series. So next week you have a breather, thankfully, and after that, April 10th, we'll be in Montreal. Do you plan to do well there? Are you a good road course racer? I'd say probably the best road course for these big tanks is probably Watkins Glen. It really fits their style, but Montreal is very tight, twisty, turny. How do you expect to perform there?
I hope to be fast. The last time at Circuit of the Americas, I got the win. If Trevin Roby hadn't had any issues, he would have won. But it's just staying consistent and not dropping over your head lap after lap to just, if you don't mess up, you can do well in those races.
Yeah, I think you're right. As long as you stay consistent, you'll do pretty well. So that's pretty good. So, well, let's move right in. Normally I'd move on to the next person, but the next person is you. You won not the next night, but of course Monday night at Rockingham. That was a pretty dominating performance. I think it's pretty safe to say you're one of the fastest cars in that room. I missed some of it. I had to some complications, unfortunately, but I made it there towards the end. Got to see your win. I know there's a lot of wrecks, a lot of cautions. That really, do you have to really kind of use that? I know you got a lap down at one point because of the way caution came out and the way things cycled out, but you got back to the front with the free pass. I mean, did the cautions help or hurt any kind of strategy you came to the race with? I mean, why did you win this race?
Um, the cautions were a little bit of an obstacle just on the strategy portion of it. As far as the restarts, I mean, just being out front is a huge advantage, or even being in the top three is a huge advantage because you can get a little bit of a gap right away and then just try to maintain that and not kill your tires. And you can do that over and over again. You know, sometimes you don't have to stop because you were driving easy enough to not burn them up on the previous run.
Yeah, you're right. I unfortunately missed the start. I had to return a rental car after driving 8 hours from Nashville, and I finished 21st. I mainly thanks to Trishan. I think that's probably I wouldn't have done to Rockingham's track that I'm not afraid to admit I am just terrible at. So next week we're at Atlanta, which once again is not a gimme. It's not a Sunday drive or a Monday drive in our case. And that race, that shoulder surgery is going to come into play. That's a slippery track. It depends on how the weather and the setup we bring. What's your strategy going to be there? Is it going to be just try to make it to the end, or are you going to say screw that? I mean, one arm. I'm going to take this one arm to the win. I mean, what's the deal?
We'll see after a little bit of practice. I really don't have high expectations on that. I'm hopeful, but I think I'll probably end up running middle of the pack because I don't want to be a danger to any of the other cars around me, and I don't really see pushing it that hard with one arm. So I just kind of want to stay out of the way and make sure that I don't wreck anyone.
Sounds pretty good. I'd say if you come to Atlanta next week and beat us with one arm, we all have to quit. I mean, series is finished, the league is finished. We'll just crown you as a forever champion. Everybody can just pack it up and go home. We'll just start somewhere new. We'll start a road series just somewhere else with the Legends Road Series, because you've retired everything else.
Yeah, I doubt that, man.
So, once again, you've earned this airtime. Is there anybody you'd like to thank for your win in the Cup Series at Rockingham? Anybody you'd like to shout out or anything along that lines? Anything you'd like to talk about? The mic is yours.
I'd just like to thank 3OG for the teamwork and emphasize that again. And just like to thank everybody in the league. It feels like the competition is a lot better, and we're going to have a great time this year.
Yes, sir, I agree. I mean, that was another. This is our. 2 weeks removed from Daytona, and we still have 30-plus people in the room, so that's really exciting to see.
Yeah, it's nice having the big car counts.
There's people like I don't even know, which is, in a way, kind of exciting. But I'm really excited to get to know everybody and keep racing with these guys, and hopefully I can have a drama-free week and put together a full race.
I have faith in you.
Thank you, Sam. I appreciate that. Now, we'll move on to a group discussion with our own weekend winner, Sam, Levi Rowdy, and Justin Kolb is joining us this evening. Next week, April 3rd and 4th, the 3-Ride Racing Series will be coming to Atlanta Motor Speedway. The B-Car Series gets an off week, so Sam can stop winning everything. And the 3-Rock Series makes its return ever since the Talladega race, March 6th. April 3rd, the 3-Rock Series at Atlanta. And the next night, April 4th, the Cup Series is at Atlanta as well. So, last time we met the 3-Rock Series, Carlos won it. And he said in his interview he won it via netcode, so we have two things here we really can't go off. A, it's Talladega, it's a plate track. I mean, that's a crapshoot. Anybody can win it. I mean, don't get me wrong, it takes skill, but it really does open the field up to who's going to win it. And then, of course, B, Carlos said it himself, it was netcode. So, really, we don't have anything to go off here. We don't really have a good picture of who's going to race 3-Rock. Do any of you plan to race 3-Rock? Like, what about you, Justin? Do you plan to run in 3-Rock this year? Who do you see winning Atlanta? Who do you see being good? How do you see the race going down with that car and the way it races? What are you thinking?
Well, I mean, I had planned to race Rock, but I don't have a scheme yet, so that's kind of on hold. And I really don't know how people are going to drive with that type of car because, again, I haven't been in it in such a long time. I'm sure it's such a completely different beast than the other two cars we drive, so I think it's basically anybody's game come Atlanta.
I'm pretty sure that you'll be able to flat foot it at Atlanta with the super late model. So who knows? We could have like a another miniature Talladega. I know the next race for Three Rock is Lime Rock, which would be very interesting. So, but at Atlanta, I see it being very flat footed. Mainly, I'm probably just on the bottom. Probably going to be hard to pass on the top. So I think qualifying will really come into play. It's really not much, honestly, not much to talk about when it comes to Three Rock. It's just going to be, it's just one of those we're going to have to wait, watch how that racing pans out, and then pretty much make our judgments from there. And of course, you know, the championship in that series is going to be points based. It's whoever has the most points at the end of the season. Right now, of course, Carlos with his win leads, but I mean, 10 points separate the top 7. So it's really hard to make any predictions or talk about it yet. So I think we'll just hold off until maybe, I mean, really getting into it until, I mean, Bristol, because once again, Lime Rock is, you know, I mean, our road ringers will show up. And then we have Bristol, Southern National, Darlington. I think, you know, around Southern National and Darlington, we'll have a really good look at who our front runners are going to be. And, of course, the B Series is taking a week off, and then the next week it'll be at Montreal. Once again, it'll be road ringers. You know, Sam won Circuit of the Americas, so who's to say he didn't come up and make it 3 for 3. We'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. I'm not going to talk about it too much tonight because, of course, we're not going to be there. Our biggest concerns tonight, and for the most of the season, is going to be the Three-Rod Racing Chesapeake Diecast Cup Series, and they're at Atlanta. I think this will be the first track. We'll get a real good idea of how good everybody's going to be. I think Rockingham was a bit of a wild card. It's a very difficult track, and kind of that one-of-a-kind deal. We really won't see anything of its liking until maybe Darlington. Rowdy, what do you think? Who's going to win Atlanta? Who's going to be good there?
It's going to be good there. We're going to look probably from last season. It's going to be Mike Skinner. I wouldn't be surprised if Justin Colby's up there, Johnny Thomas, Sam. Tanner has a good shot. All those people have a really good shot at winning. We're going to see Atlanta being a hot, slick track. You're going to see multiple grooves. I guarantee it. You're going to see the high side. I would probably say the high side is going to be really good in 3 and 4 compared to 1 and 2, but who knows. The rubber makes it really interesting. You're going to have a lot of multi-groove racing right now with that. It's going to be a tough place to pass. I can see quite a few cautions. Probably a handful like we had at Rockingham.
Yeah, the corners off of 2 especially is pretty slick. So that'll be, I actually, in the preseason, me and Richard were battling out, and I straight up lost it off 2. So I hope to perform well at Atlanta. If anything, I don't know if you guys know this, but Sam is actually going to be having surgery on his shoulder, and he'll be racing one-handed. So don't know how well he'll perform. We talked about that in our interview. I mean, who knows? I could see Sam come there winning with one arm, and then we all just have to quit. I always see Justin being fast. I hope I'm pretty quick there. Based off of the preseason, Richard Lafferty did good. I see no reason why Johnny Thomas won't be up there. I think all the 3OG guys are pretty quick. I could see Skinner. I mean, and we have a lot of fast guys. I mean, what do you think, Sam? You're part of 3OG. Do you see your guys up there? Do you see a lot of lead changing all day, or just one leader all day? What do you think?
I definitely think you'll see 3OG up there. Those guys are fast, and I think that the A car is really suited to their driving style. I think you'll see all those other guys up there too. I mean, like you just said, you just listed off like 8, 9 guys that could possibly win one of these races, and you wouldn't be surprised. So competition's great, and I think it'll continue to be that way at Atlanta.
Yeah, I think Skylar's might be due to get up there. Johnny Thomas, I mean, it's just a matter of time. I mean, he placed 4th at Rockingham, of course. Once again, like I said, with Daytona and Rockingham being 2 wild cards, we're not going to really have a chance to narrow down our picks until, honestly, we get past, Atlanta, Las Vegas, Iowa, Bristol. And then we're going to have a real good idea of who's going to be up there competing for this. Now, of course, in the Cup Series, it's the win you're in elimination style chase. So with Matt winning Daytona and Sam winning Rockingham, if they participate and hold participation, they're going to be in the chase I mean, of course, we could have 16 different winners, and then who knows from there. But as of right now, Sam and Matt Ramathorn are in the chase. I mean, is there any predictions on, who's going to make it to the chase? Who's going to any sleeper picks? I know I asked this last week, and of course we're still in a bit of a wild card week, but we should have a better look. I mean, I can see like if I had to pick 5 people, let's say I had to pick 5 people to make the chase. I don't think you could ever count out Paul. And well, of course, 5 people besides we already know Matt and Sam make it, so those don't have to be picked. They've made it. But if I had to pick 5, and we'll ask everybody this, I'm going to go Paul Ross, without a doubt. And of course, I mean, there's more than 5 are going to make it, but I know, like, just for some for sure's, Paul Ross, Johnny Thomas, Richard Lafferty. That's where it gets kind of difficult. I said earlier about Corey Lindsey, where he's performed well in the super late model in the past, and he really likes how this car drives. I mean, he's been up front each race. He got caught up in trouble, like, in the closing laps of Rockingham, but it was up, battling for the lead all day. So I could see Corey Lindsey making it. And then for my 5th pick, did I say Michael Skinner? I don't think I did. Michael Skinner for sure. What about you, Justin? Pick 5 people, not Matt or Sam, we're going to make the chase in the A-Class Series this year.
Well, I think when it comes down to it, you're going to have to go with Tanner Sharp. I mean, he's a 2-time champion in the series. And again, I see Michael making it. I don't think he had a win last year, but he'll probably make that up this year with a win. Again, well, you said no Sam. Nathan Velez is another one that I see. He's somewhat of a sleeper, but he's normally up in the top 10 most of the race. Corey Lindsey has kind of surprised me this year. I'm not sure how well he's going to be throughout the season, but I was really impressed, and it was nice to see him running top 10 most of the day yesterday. And Nick Miller, why not?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think, I mean, it's like, I agree with all your picks, even though I didn't pick it for mine. I mean, it's just like, it's not hard to pick because I can't think of 5. It's just how to narrow it down to 5, because I just think we have a very, very competitive groups of guys and Krista. What about you, Sam? Who do you think? Of course, excluding yourself and Matt. Pick 5 who makes this chase this year.
Definitely going to take Tanner. He's going to be in there. Johnny's going to be in there. I think you're going to see Corey and Paul. And the last one is kind of hard. Nathan Velez.
Okay, I like that. I like that a lot. I don't disagree with any of y'all's picks yet. And then finally, my podcast colleague, Rowdy. Pick 5 people, excluding Matt and Sam, who makes the chase this year.
It's so hard. There's so many good drivers out there. You can't go wrong with a Tanner Sharp pick, or Johnny Thompson, Paul Ross, Nick Miller. The last one is tough, like everyone else says. I would say Nathan Velez, too. If not, my sleeper pick is Corey Lindsey, to be honest.
I like that. I don't disagree with one single pick. Last week, we decided on who's hot and who's cold coming out of Daytona. I'm pretty sure me and Rowdy unanimously agreed on Matt being the hot one. I don't remember who he picked cold. But coming out of Rockingham, Levi, who's hot, who's cold?
Who's hot? Sam. Sam just won. He's hot. Also, Tanner's hot right now because Tanner's now the new points leader. Who's cold right now? I'm going to say is Trevin Roby and Zach Trevino right now.
Okay. Sam, who's hot, who's cold on your list?
Who's hot? Paul. He's super hot right now. He's been really fast. I don't think the finishes have really reflected that. I think Richard's hot. I think Johnny's going to do really well. Corey's doing well. Who's not? I think Trevin Roby, he's been having connection issues, and I think that's kind of affecting him. I think he's pretty fast, but he's not doing very well. There's really not anybody else I can think of that's not doing well right now. I think everybody's got a big shot to do whatever they want to. We got a long season, so we'll see some changes before it's all over with.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree. For me, who's hot? It's Sam. I mean, you don't sweep a weekend and not come off and feel on fire. I really hope his shoulder surgery doesn't hold him back. Thankfully, so for me, hot is Sam without a doubt. For cold, I really didn't get a good look for everybody. I know I'm not feeling very confident with a connection issue, and then I just had to miss a start of Rockingham. I hope Corey doesn't lose any confidence because I know he was up front all day and got involved in that late wreck. I know Nick got involved, and I think I picked Nick to do real well at Rockingham just based off the fact of how good he is at Darlington. So hopefully that didn't slow him down. But if anybody's hot, it's Sam. He's on fire right now. You don't go back to back and just not come off that feeling great. I hope his shoulder doesn't slow him down. I don't think it will. I think it'll kill all of us with one arm. We'll see. It'll be our first pirate driver. Next week, Three Rock Series. Who will win that race? Rowdy.
Like Skinner.
I like Skinner. What about you, Sam? Who wins the Three Rock race?
Paul Ross.
I like that pick. And then Justin, who wins the Three Rock race at Atlanta?
I'm gonna go with Paul as well.
I'm gonna have to agree with you guys there. I think that'll be a very unique style of racing. I think Paul is really good at. It's a fixed series, so there's only so much you can do, but you can always adjust your strategy, your pit sequence, and everything. And Paul's really good at that, so I'd see Paul performing real well there. And then, of course, the next night, Atlanta Motor Speedway, our Cup Series. Who's going to win that, Justin?
I'm gonna go with Michael Skinner because of how well he ran there last year.
I like that. And then Sam?
I'll go with Tanner Sharp. I think he's going to come through here.
Oh, yeah, Tanner's always a solid pick. And then Rowdy, who's going to win Atlanta Cup Series?
Paul Ross.
Paul Ross, I like it. If I had to pick anybody, it's so hard. I almost like. Of course we're going to pick somebody, but I never want anybody to get the impression that I think no one else is going to win it, and we're just got such a competitive group of guys. But I'm gonna stick with my pick here. I picked Nick for Rockingham. I know Nick got involved in trouble. I don't know how quick he was, but I'm gonna pick Nick for Atlanta. You heard it here first. Nick Miller, Victory Lane, Atlanta. So any final thoughts on this podcast this week, Rowdy?
Any final thoughts? It's Atlanta. Anything can happen. Be expecting, expect the unexpected here. You're going to see a lot of tires issues right now. You're going to see a lot of worn out tires after about 15 laps. So we're going to see who can keep the tires on at the best. That's why I believe Paul Ross will be in victory lane.
I like that. And then what about you, Sam? Any final thoughts this week? Any expectations? Anything like that?
I expect it to be a good, tough race. I don't think there'll be as many cautions. So, like Levi was saying, you're really going to have to conserve the tires and be careful with the car.
And then you, Justin, any final thoughts for this week?
I think you may see a lot of what you saw this week, a bunch of slip and slide around the racetrack. I know they don't call it Hot Atlanta for no reason, so expect a bunch of sliding, and who knows, maybe may have a little sleeper win the race.
I think you're right. I think turn 2 will be a big decider for next week. I really hope I personally do well. I know everybody. It's a shame Levi can't race with us. I hope Sam isn't held back, and of course you can never count Justin out. Thank you guys for tuning in this week. I thank Justin, Sam, and Levi for showing up for the interviews. If you guys like this more roundtable type discussion with more drivers or people in it, let me know. If you prefer just me and Rowdy, let me know. Thank you guys, and thank you guys for being on tonight. But we have concluded our little roundtable discussion. If you like that, where we I think we'll do like me and Rowdy, our winner, and then bring in like a special guest driver like we did this time with Justin Kolb. If you like that, let us know, and if you want to be on, let us know. We're going to transition now to the lap at Atlanta, and then our little goodbye, and that'll wrap up this podcast. So let's get to Atlanta and show you how to get around that beast. It's time that we get acquainted with Atlanta. We'll take the slow lap around, and then I'll show you some laps at speed. Now, of course, you always want to make sure you get out of pit lane aggressively. When you're pitting under green, you could really make up a lot of time. And when you're pitting out, you don't enter the track until the backstretch in our league. Now, with Atlanta, though, you see this apron here. It has a little bank section of it. You could really use it to be very, very aggressive. And by about this time, you can begin your merge right about here when it straightens out. Make sure no one's coming to your right. You don't want to cut anybody off or wreck anybody. And you want to get to being aggressive. Now, Atlanta, it's a very, honestly, you can put your car just about anywhere you want it as long as, you change your entry. I think, of course, the preferred groove is always going to be around mid to bottom. The high lane might work depending on how loose or tight the car shows up. If it shows up pretty tight, the higher lane about right here is actually going to be pretty preferred, I'd say, right about here if we show up with a pretty loose car, because you see the exit 2 is it's lost its banking. I mean, you're still turning, you're almost on flat track, so it's really easy to get loose there. And with 3 and 4, it's actually pretty easy to get tight. It's an abrasive, bumpy, old, worn-out track, which makes for great racing. It's really easy to push out right here and catch that wall. You definitely don't want to do that. I mean, this is a quad oval. Everybody knows how to go through a quad oval. You can cut that a little bit more if you want to get a little bit more aggressive later on in the race. Really no need early on. It's going to be like a 130 lap race, so there's really no need for that. So I'm going to shut up a little bit and show you guys a quicker lap around here, and then I'll follow up with some points. Alright, so I have the weather pretty cool and it's actually really loose, so I might have to change up what I'm doing here. I know, when you're on newer tires, you can be very aggressive. As you can see, I was hardly off the throttle. But with the low downforce package, we don't really have that downforce to hold. I mean, it's just too fast, So maybe the bottom line might work a little better. Let's try that out. Hopefully I haven't burnt the tires up too much. I'm going to let off just a little more, let the car get a little more settled. And right there, we can kind of feel the car dig in. Kind of saw it the wheel a little bit. I feel like that, yeah, that's much better as far as being loose goes. We'll try the same with 3 and 4. So alright, so let's see if we can get a little bit better of a result there. Pretty loose, as you can see. So we'll go ahead and practice being aggressive off pit lane here. Of course, make sure you're announcing when you're exiting and entering the pits always. Keep it on the apron. Don't merge into the track turn on the back. I'd say stay in third, right there. And by the time you hit fourth, about the time to merge. Of course, in my case, no one's here. I'm going to go up to the wall. And I'd say when you're a little bit lower in speed, I'd say a little bit higher. Less turning, get the car to speed a little bit quicker. Let's see what we can do about this looseness here. Trying to stay off the bottom. I just feel like if you spend so much time leaving the corner as loose as it is, it's going to be really treacherous. Still pretty loose, but that's a little bit better. So, with this new low downforce package, the last time I was at Atlanta was in the NASCAR iRacing series, and at Atlanta we had the high downforce package, so I think that's where my line was coming from. I can't be quite as aggressive as I could last time. So, you should be real careful because, you can get the car down there at a much higher speed, but the thing is, we just don't have the downforce to hold the tires. It's just very quick, and just don't really have the downforce to compensate for the high speed, which is good. It makes for great racing, makes for better passing. Trust me, I am not slamming the low downforce package one bit. I think it's what racing really needed. I'm glad we have it. It's made for great racing so far this season. So yeah, I mean it's going to be loose, but it's definitely drivable. You're going to have to really take mind of that with this low downforce package. Just be smooth with the wheel. And don't overdo it. See, just nice and easy. Well, I just want to pit. I just want to show y'all guys how to pit. And the first lesson is, you see here, I'm facing the crowd. That's not how you pit. My pit crew isn't up here at the start-finish line. I mean, duh. So anyways, let's practice pitting in, because clearly I've ruined my tires. I'm going to go get new ones. So now we're going to practice pitting out and in. So I've just got 4 new tires. I'm going to go out, make sure I'm aggressive under the speed limit, announcing that I am entering the track. Careful, there's no banking, no grip there, nothing. So be careful you don't get loose and lose it. I've done it. I'm sure everybody else has. Aggressive out, into 4th and onto the track. We'll do 1 lap out and then we'll pit in. Make sure you don't get in anybody's way. Mind that relative. Mind that rear view mirror. So you make sure you want to announce that you're pitting in. I think anytime you pit in, you want to get your car on the bottom. And I'd say right about you hit these billboards when it's time to start backing this thing down. Into 3rd, stay on the brakes, into 2nd, boom, pit road. Now, of course, you want to be as aggressive as you can. Be careful. I was definitely over-aggressive there, but as you saw, the second I hit that yellow cone, I'm doing 50. So I got all that out of it that I wanted to. Back it down to 50, take 4 tires, and you're good. So there's Atlanta for you. I had it on cool weather and still a pretty loose track, so really interesting to see what we're going to get Monday. I'd say as long as you keep it straight exiting 2 and easy on entry in 3, that's where I found most of my looseness. I think you'll be okay. I don't know how it's going to perform in dirty air. I mean, it's just a lot of unknowns, but I hope this really gives you an idea of what to expect at Atlanta and how you want to tackle it. So let's just move on to our little outro here. I hope these laps help you guys. If you have any tips or suggestions for it, that'd be great. Alright, that'll wrap up week 2 of the 3-Ride Racing podcast. I'll see you guys this weekend at Atlanta. Hopefully I'll be able to partake. I've had problems at both races. I'd like to thank Rowdy, Justin Kolb, and Sam Close for being on this week. We'll have new guests, or maybe just whatever you guys like. We'll go forward with that. Your criticism, your constructive criticism, anything, suggestions, tips are always welcome. You can tweet them at me or Rowdy, comment in the comments, whatever works for you guys. I would also like to thank Tavern and SinteryMusic for allowing us to use their music. You can find all of their information in the description. And thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you guys next week.
Swallowed by a slowly emperor, who's the Chinese place that no one deserves. Hypocrites of the media. Wondering where time ends, wondering where time goes, wondering when mine ends. Gonna ask if you could go. What's the point of team spirit if you can't hear it? Even if you got my back, what happens when I pass? You said you'd die if I died, girl, I hope you lied. They say life is